area we're operating in is called the Sierra Madre Belt in Mexico. It's effectively responsible for 25% of the world's silver production. Mexico is the world's #1 silver producer, and we're smack bang in the middle of that belt. You've got a whole number of majors operating in there, and by that we mean the likes of Endeavour Silver, Fresnillo. We've got First Majestic. Our Gavalanes project is actually only 23 k's from that operation. We picked all of these 3 assets up prior to silver taking its current run, of course, but total cost for 100 million ounces of silver equivalent, less than $5 million US.
This is general advice and my opinions only. This episode's company has paid me for this interview. I may be long, short, or hold an interest in stocks or CFDs mentioned. Past performance isn't reliable. The interviewee's views are their own, not necessarily mine. LEVRD operates as a corporate authorised representative 00131 8377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website, link in the show notes. Righto, bag holders and stop loss owners. Don't worry about silver going down. It's still up shitloads compared. It's pretty much, Adam, it's pretty much going down and up the same day, in the same day as what it used to be valued at. Adam McKinnon, Advanced Metals. How are you, mate?
I'm fantastic.
Mate, right, we are getting into AVM today. I got it up on screen here, trading at 7 cents. This market cap's actually pretty big compared to what I've been talking about lately. 30, bit below 34 mil. So I've got your Australian gold, Mexican silver. We're going to get in. So, mate, I wanted to start on your silver. To start with, it's ASX listed, but 3 Mexican silver assets. And I've gone through the pronunciations. I'll see if I can actually get them, remember them. Yoquivo, Guadalupe, GYC, not Guzmani Gomez. We've got GYC and Gavalanes. Yep. So they're your 3 assets. I've got them up on screen here. Mate, just give us the high-level rundown first up, how you got the hold of these assets, where they are in Mexico, and I guess the neighbouring operating silver mines in that belt that are pretty well-renowned.
No problem. So the area we're operating in is called the Sierra Madre Belt in Mexico. It's effectively responsible for 25% of the world's silver production. Mexico is the world's #1 silver producer, and we're smack bang in the middle of that belt. You've got a whole number of majors operating in there, and by that we mean the likes of Endeavour Silver, Fresnillo. We've got First Majestic. Our Gavalanes project is actually only 23 k's from that operation. They've got about $1 billion market cap, so it is an incredibly well-endowed belt. And, we sit right in amongst some of these very, very big players. Fantastic place to explore and a fantastic part of the world, just to visit. It is really quite a spectacular place to operate in terms of exploration and mining.
Yeah, so how do you compare it to, is it very saturated over there with the amount of silver, or is it similar to a Western Australia with gold, for instance?
I would, in a sense, I would compare it to WA with gold. There's just, you can't go 2 steps without kicking over a bit of silver in that part of the world. There's so many projects there that, there's so much potential that you find there's a lot of quality assets kicking around that people just don't even look at because they're not up to scale of some of these other ones that are much bigger or much easier to get at. But I can give you a bit of a background of why we actually picked these up. We picked all of these 3 assets up prior to silver taking its current run, of course, but total cost for 100 million ounces of silver equivalent, less than $5 million US. They're all picked up separately over a period of time, but you absolutely incredible place. If you're going to look for silver, this is the place to be.
Yeah. Well, and just looking at the grades, and if you can compare it to any of those existing operations, because you look at, I'll just use your flagship, Yoquivo. That's a JORC reference. That's a JORC mineral resource estimate now, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
So in the last couple of months, we've upgraded Yoquivo to JORC. The other two are currently NI 43101, which is the Canadian code. Very comparable still, but sometimes in Australia, if you say foreign estimate or NI 43101, people don't want to know about you.
Yeah.
So we are in the process of upgrading all three of these to JORC, just so we're on the level playing field with ASX, so to speak.
Yeah, and just looking at like maybe just a bit of context on Mexican silver grades. Like I look at Yoquivo at the moment, grade equivalent's about 120. I just saw your recent drilling results from Gavalanes, like 34 meters at 220 grams silver, and then I guess look at just an ASX comparison. I think the mineral resource estimate for Boab is about 30 or 40 grams per ton silver. Is this
Correct.
what you expect in Mexico? Like what's like Fresnillo and Endeavour Silver and all that pulling out as a head grade over there?
It really depends on the style of deposit, so whether you're open cut or underground. But I guess it's more the style of mineralisation over in this part of the world. We're talking about low sulfidation epithermal, typically narrow vein, and you can be pulling out grades up to 1,000 grams a ton in some of these places. I'll give you a bit of context. Gavalanes historically was mined at 1,600 grams per ton silver. So that's the deposit we're drilling now. Small operations, mining history goes all the way back to the 1700s. This is why the Spanish were in this part of the world. They were really after the silver, and they made a hell of a lot of money from this part of the world. And you can still find this extremely high grade material. I guess what we like to see though is a little bit of scale. And what we've done at Yoquivo recently is we've realised, well, actually these systems may actually work better as an open cut, bulk tonnage. And that was a big change when we did the JORC, is we said, well, this actually works. It holds together better as a bulk tonnage open cut style deposit. So if you move down to the next slide there, you'll actually see the geometry. It actually looks a little bit like an open pit when you look at the geometry of the mineralisation.
It low strip ratio, I assume, looks like an iron ore cap.
We're getting that work done at the moment. I expect it's going to be, look, I don't know, but I expect it to be somewhere 3 or 4 to 1. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. So with those three deposits, I'm sure there's a very simple answer to this. Like you look at it on face value. Yoquivo is, I guess, half the ounces of GYC and the lowest grade, but it is your flagship project. Is this to do with just the JORC resource, how developed it is, any permitting? Why is Yoquivo your flagship when you got 200 odd grams per ton coming back from Gavalanes drilling recently?
It is a combination of those things you said, but very simply, Yoquivo was the first asset we acquired. And up until we started the drilling program at Gavalanes, it was the only project we'd actually done any work on. So it's really just a historical, it's a reflection of the order in which we actually acquired the projects. So nearly all of the drilling we've done to date has been done on Yoquivo. Gavalanes, we've just kicked off in the last little while. And GYC, we will get to. That was our last acquisition. Still working on approval. So we haven't actually done any material work at GYC yet. I see massive upside to all three of them. We might find that Gavalanes becomes our flagship very, very shortly. We're actually still working on Yoquivo as we speak. We're doing some metallurgical and some mining studies there, but at the moment we're drilling Gavalanes. So they've all got for different reasons. They're all got huge potential, but it's a matter of just working through systematically, converting them to JORC, and going from there.
So with you, start on your Yoquivo, what is still how much upside is there to that 33 million ounces with future drilling, or are you more looking at progressing that towards a development story now, or study size? What's happening there?
Oh no, there's massive upside at this project. What you don't see on that map there, that's a LiDAR. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with LiDAR. Very high resolution surface mapping. What we can see at surface, and we've mapped a lot of this, is there's tens of kilometres of map veining there. Now, we've only really drilled properly 2 systems. You can see them there, Esperanza and Pertinencia. Nearly all the work's been done at Pertinencia, but that little bit of drilling you can see there with Esperanza, that is the limit of the drilling. And when we look at the LiDAR at the surface, it continues north and south from there, that the veins for hundreds and hundreds of meters, and just haven't been drilled. Still massive upside, and we will continue. We're actually looking at coming straight back to Yoquivo in terms of drilling after we've done the Gavilanes program. So we don't think we finish there. We're going to push towards 50 plus million ounces in the near term.
Yeah. So, and what's the deposit style like? Is it explain it in relation to, like, say, a gold veining system? How does this deposit look in along the cross section?
Yeah, so it ranges all the way from narrow veins, and by narrow I mean anywhere between 0.5 meter to 4 meters sort of wide. So in most areas, it's in these sort of veins associated with quartz, much like you would get in a high-grade gold deposit. And then in particular, in this area you're looking at now at Pertinencia, we get these blowouts where we get these breccia zones, and you get this more diffuse style of mineralization. And that's why we think this is potentially quite interesting as an open cut. Go down to the next slide there, you'll see it in cross section. Long section and cross section, actually. Sorry, long section for Pertinencia, and you can see that's actually a cross section of the two lodes you can see on the map. And you get this series of sort of parallel stacked lode systems, which, look really interesting as a potential open cut.
And is that your theory? Is there's between Esperanza and Pertinencia, there's likely something in the middle? Is that what you're going to be chasing?
Well, not only likely, we've got mapped veins at surface. We've got surface geochemistry that shows there's silver there. We even have some drilling. You can see there's some drilling in the middle there. Yeah. We just haven't done enough drilling yet to upgrade any of this into a resource at this stage. We believe there's plenty of upside here, not just along strike from both of our known resources at the moment, but also for new discoveries in the region.
Yeah. So I guess for your next two, GYC Gavalanes. Did you say Gavalanes is your newest project, but looking better grade? Is there like? Sorry,
no. Gavalanes was our second project. GYC was the third project we picked up.
Gotcha. But Gavalanes is looking to be the higher grade.
Yes, Gavalanes is looking very good. I mentioned that it had historically been mined at that 1600 ppm, so we know it has the capacity to host very, very significant grades. The other interesting thing is Gavalanes is very silver dominant, so it's quoted as an equivalency, but about 90% of the value in Gavalanes is silver, which is really, really interesting as a pure play sort of silver deposit. Yuquivo, for example, is about 1/3 gold, 2/3 silver. So
okay, gotcha. So first, like it says here, like this was operated by First Majestic for Gavalanes back in the day. Is this the existing resource? Was that just sort of the leftover that they didn't take, or has that been discovered by another party, or what happened there?
So the Tail Tita mine, which is nearby, 23 kilometres, is the one that was operated by First Majestic.
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a world-class ore body. It produced somewhere in the order of 600 million ounces of silver and close to 12 million ounces of gold over its life. About 250-year mining history, and like really, really quite spectacular. We're about 23 k's away. Now, you might ask, if we're only 23 k's away, why hasn't there been a huge amount of work done at Gavalanes? And the answer is actually the topography. We're sitting in the same valley, actually, as Tail Tita, but there's no direct access road from Gavalanes to San Dimas, and that's part of the reason it's been less explored. It was actually held by a royalty company. That's who we picked it up for. It's obviously exploration wasn't their key focus, being a royalty company. So it's actually been sat on for a little while, and not much work's been done in the last sort of 15 years. We picked it up for a total cost of about $750,000 US in shares. So really fantastic pickup. We're targeting a doubling in our very first upgrade, which we're hoping to do in late September, early October. We're targeting an increase from 22 million ounces currently, hoping to double that to around the 40 million. Obviously, that'll be subject to some success in the drilling we're doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's sort of a bit of an end game for these projects, like ASX listed company trying to operate a Mexican silver mine? It's probably a bit. Nothing's impossible, but is this what's going to attract the attention of the producers in Mexico to potentially you build the resource up and they want to take a chunk of it off you, or the whole thing?
Yeah, I think that is the end game. I think what we're trying to demonstrate here is that we can aggressively increase the resources here to the point where they're potentially, not even potentially, that they are economic propositions. We've already shown that with Yoquivo. It's already looking interesting, and obviously we're expecting that to grow further. We're looking to, within 4 or 5 months of commencing at Gavalanes, we're looking to have a significant upgrade that basically shows the potential. The really interesting thing about Gavalanes, just separately, is that it's the least drilled of all of our projects. It's had less than 10,000 meters of drilling.
Yeah.
It's only been drilled over a strike about 700 meters, completely open in all directions. So if we get things right here, we believe it has similar potential to San Dimas. Now, I'm not suggesting we're going to end up with 12 million ounces and 600 of gold and 600 million ounces of silver in any time soon. But we do believe it has that sort of large scale potential that will attract the interest of the likes of First Majestic to our area.
Yeah. So, and because with the what you're saying, like when mines have historically been having head grades of in the thousands, over 1,000 grams per tonne silver, but obviously silver's at, God, you would have taken 70, 75 US silver any day of the week a couple of years ago, wouldn't you? Even though it's pulled back.
Absolutely.
It's pulled back so much now. So is what is, in terms of your competitors in that region that say your First Majestics and Endeavour might be looking at, what's that sort of number? Like a gold mine, for instance, 1 to 1.5 gram open pit gets everyone's attention. What sort of reserve grade for a large scale silver mine is a number that sort of starts attracting the attention as a developable project?
Yeah, so historically, mines in the region have used 100 to 120 gram per tonne silver equivalent cutoff, and head grades range anywhere sort of up between 180 to sort of 250 grams a tonne.
Yeah.
That's historically. That was before we've had the recent run in silver. What we're seeing now is that head grades, even for underground mines, down to 40 and 50 grams per tonne, look like they're economic. So, typically anywhere between 150 and 250 grams for an underground mine. And for open cuts, it can be much, much lower than that. Anywhere between 50 and 100 is typical for these open cut style operations.
So there's a lot of the assets that like your First Majestic and Pan American and like they're sort of really world-class assets. They'd be just printing money at the moment, wouldn't they?
They would have to be. They would have to be. Like you say, it feels sometimes like everyone thinks the world's falling in terms of silver and gold prices, but you only have to look back literally only a couple of months and we're still at historic highs. And I don't think that's flowed through into the exploration space. I don't think it's flowed through necessarily even to the operations. We're still seeing people, haven't reacted in terms of cutoff grades and things like that at this stage. And I guess it's also reflected in the fact that we're not seeing the big jump in supply coming online. So we're still seeing this structural deficit. It is hard for these operations to actually respond quickly to the prices, but it's going to flow through at some stage, and we are going to see appropriate valuations for these assets.
Before we get on to your Australian gold assets, which got some bloody impressive grades and the balance sheet, just to close out South America, what is it like getting drilling happening effectively, like dealing with the communities? What sort of permitting's involved? Like how quick is it to turn something on over there just to poke holes in the ground?
No problem. Look, in certain senses, it's really good, and it's challenging in others. So on the positive side, there's no such thing as exploration licenses in Mexico. When you acquire a bit of ground in Mexico, it is a mining license. It gives you the right to mine, and typically they have a 50-year lease life. So you're not necessarily worrying about this conversion from exploration to mining lease. Most of our projects have anywhere, and it depends how long they've got left, but anywhere between 30 and 50-year life. So that's on the positive side. In terms of drilling rigs, it's actually really easy to get drilling rigs in Mexico. They've got a really fantastic and professional set of contractors who operate there. And actually, the technical staff are really good. They've got good geos, good field assistants. So that's been fine. We're operating an almost entirely in-country team, and that's been by choice. We think it's really important that that when we're operating in this community, that they're operating with locals. Basically, we don't really want to force expats and people coming in and telling them how to operate in those communities. And to date, we've had a really good relationship with the communities that we've operated in. That's a really important thing. You really do need to maintain those good relationships. On the downside, obviously, it can be. I'll just correct you from before. It's actually still not. Mexico is actually North America. It's not South America.
True.
Yeah. So it's a very common misconception. It's one of the 3 North American countries.
Yep.
Obviously, if you call it a Latin America, that'd be fine. But it can be what's the word I want to look? It's a little bit bureaucratic. Let's say a little bit more bureaucratic even than the likes of New South Wales, where I'm used to operating. And then you also have some of the security concerns that are pretty well known in Mexico, sort of overlaid. Having said that, the areas that we've operated so far, Yuquivo, Gavalanes, we haven't had any issues at all in terms of security. We've been able to operate quite successfully, and that goes for the companies that held these assets before. They were able to operate for many, many years here without any major security issues as well.
Yeah, well, they're operating there now. It sounds very similar to Africa. You take the grade with the increased hardship sometimes. You can't have both, unfortunately, unless you're bloody Fosterville or something.
Exactly. Look, if you were to take a project like Gavalanes and dump it anywhere in Australia, you just wouldn't find it. You wouldn't get it for the price, and you just would not find it. You wouldn't have that potential upside. It would have had the absolute hell drilled out of it by now.
Well, it's Cannington, effectively.
Exactly. So the fact is, you can go to places like Mexico. You can operate. We've demonstrated you can operate effectively. You can get drilling done relatively cost effectively, and the upside is huge. We're looking in the medium term, and by medium term I mean next 1 to 2 years, to be up at 200 million ounces. And it looks eminently doable with what we've seen so far.
What I'm sure you can't give too much away, but I guess with the rise in the silver price, explorers like yourself in that region, has there been an increase in conversations with bigger companies that are interested in your projects? Was that sort of correlated with the rise in silver price?
It has. Yeah, it has to an extent. What we have seen is that there's a very significant increase in inbound interest from Canada and the USA. Canadians have a sort of better history of operating in this part of the world. They're very comfortable. Most of the large multinational companies are Canadian, and a lot of the junior explorers are Canadian. What we find is that Australian or ASX doesn't really know much about Mexico, or a little bit uncomfortable with it. We're one of only 2 explorers that have silver assets in Mexico, the other being Myrtle Resources. So it's just for whatever reason, the ASX is not that familiar with Mexico, but the Canadians certainly, and US to a lesser extent, very comfortable in that area. And what we've seen is they're very interested in what we're doing in this part of the world. Already have quite a bit of interest in these projects.
ASX is only interested in what you get paid for it in the end. That's where the value
Correct.
comes.
Correct.
Mate, want to get onto your Aussie assets. So Myrtleford and Beaufort were in the Victorian goldfields. So you originally had the right to earn up to 80% interest in Myrtleford, but you've recently taken that up to 100% with, and I'm reading it was an additional consideration of 1 million Canadian. So just looking at the grades, this is a bit more comfortable talking about gold grades and silver grades. 8.2 metres at nearly 29 grams at 186 below surface, 7.5 at 55. You take them any day of the week. So was this increase in interest on the back of those results, and you said we need bloody 100% of this ASAP, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we acquired this at the same time as Gavalanes, basically in January last year. By February, we're in there actually diamond drilling this thing. And probably in the last sort of 13, 14 months, we've put 30 diamond holes into this area, mostly into Happy Valley. Happy Valley is an interesting little historic mine. It was produced between about 1855 and 1875, about 30,000 ounces of gold at an ounce to the ton. So historically, very, very high grade, and in an interesting part of the world. That what they call the Northeast Goldfields. Some your listeners may be familiar with the Myrtleford district, which includes Beechworth, Ned Kelly country. So it's about 6 million ounces. Mostly alluvial gold came out of the area, but there was a fair bit of hard rock mining done in the later years as well. This is Happy Valley is one of those mines that was a hard rock mine. Had three sort of parallel lodes that they mined underground, and it was one of the only mines that went under the water table. Back then, obviously, getting water out of these mines was very, very cost prohibitive, but it had grade that supported that sort of approach. It's only a relatively new modern discovery. So another Canadian company called Serra, who we're acquiring this project from 2021, they drilled a hole in sort of just below the workings and hit up to 2,000 grams a ton, or plus 2,000 grams a ton.
Oh yeah, there it is there. 11.5 at 160, 0.6 at 2,500. So I assume there's some visible gold in that, if it's that bloody high.
It is a spectacular hole. I've seen the hole. It's got a lot of gold in it. So off the back of that, they raised $11 million, and of which $8 million was put in by Eric Sprott, which they explored for about a year. They put a couple of more holes in here. They explored the region, and then basically it was during the Victorian COVID lockdowns, bad weather. They basically decided they were pivoting completely out of gold, and we're going to change over to critical metals in South America. They've since pivoted completely out of the mining industry and into biotech. So an interesting company.
The gold thing.
Yeah. So we picked it up and we went, there's significant potential here, and you can see from some of the drilling that we've done over that period that there is definitely some upside potential here. I think the really exciting thing about this project is it could be a small standalone mine. Subject to a little bit of further work. We've just done some gravity test work that shows you wouldn't need to float it. It's basically just gravity recovery. Very, very high gravity recoveries.
Yeah, so at 96%.
And we wouldn't
gravity
even
recovery.
envisage. Yeah, very, very high. And we wouldn't envisage even building a plant if we were going to build a mine here. There's plenty of plants in Victoria that could take this type of material.
Yeah, right. So what is I just got the map up here. So it's sort of that northeastern area. What is, you got A1 to the southeast. So probably that's Kaiser. You'll have
it's about 100 k's as the crow flies from that mine. You've got Costerfield and Fosterville off to the west.
Yeah.
You've also got Kaiser Reef's Malden operations that they've got a plant in the region as well that could potentially take this type of material.
Yeah, I suppose you won't have to try. You won't have to truck much of it because it'll be the grade will. It'll fill up a lot of gold per carrier.
Correct, and at that sort of grade, I could probably truck it all the way to Perth and still make money. To be fair,
someone said that to me the other day. They were. Which I think it was Sunshine Metals. They were like, "Oh yeah, we figured we could still we could truck it from North Queensland down to Fosterville and still make money." So, So is Beaufort, is that sort of the priority's more Myrtleford to look at
the
than
priority
Beaufort?
has been Myrtleford.
Yeah,
we've actually just kicked off a program. We're doing some work now, but like literally as of today.
Yeah.
We're doing some mapping, rock chip sampling there. That's another area that produced a hell of a lot of, not much in this presentation on it actually, because we haven't done much today, but it's another area that produced a whole lot of alluvial gold, but not much work was done on the source of the gold up on the hills. We've already mapped a number of very juicy looking quartz veins, which we're sampling currently, and the plan is there to do some drilling on that target as well in the coming months.
Yeah. So with Myrtleford, how progressed is it with permitting, licensing? Like, if you did want to start a project there, or and how would you? Is it rehabbing any existing workings to get down there? What's the scope of that?
Yeah, so obviously we're in early days still. We don't even have a resource here. So that's part of the next step, is to look at some preliminary. We've done the metallurgical test work. That was part of that scope. We're now going to, in the coming month or so, we're actually going to have a look at whether or not there is a potential operation here. We'll look at whether there's an economic chunk of this mineralisation we could exploit. It's on the side of quite a steep terrain, so we would follow the sort of the methods that the old timers use, and we'd probably just add it into the side of the hill.
Yeah.
Exploit it that way. Approvals wise, we would obviously need to apply for a mining lease. This is all exploration lease at the moment, but one advantage we do have with this particular deposit, it's sitting in state forest. So we're nowhere near any farms or landholders or anything like that. So it's in quite an ideal spot, sort of out of the way in terms of potential approvals in the future.
Yeah. The share register, you got some bloody half decent names on there. You've got, I'll find it, bloody Terra Tribeca, Lyle, Johnny Forward's on there, Jupiter. When did all they come in on a raise? How long have they been sort of floating around on the register?
Yeah, we did a $13 million raise in October last year, which was actually done at a premium. It tells you how bullish everyone was on silver and gold back then. We managed to get Jupiter and Tribeca put in half of that $13 million. So they are big on our register. And for such a relatively small company, we've got an incredible register in terms of instos. So we're well backed.
Yeah, is that HSBC custody nominees? Is that potentially a strategic, or unsure who that is?
No, so that Jupiter and Tribeca are basically sitting behind those.
Oh, they're under that. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you got. In this present, it says 11 mil, but your quarterly updated you 7 mil in the cash. And look, it's just on first glance, like you got a lot going on. There are 3 silver projects, 2 gold projects, and sort of 40 mil market cap with 7 mil in the bank. Where's the funds sort of being allocated at the moment in a list of priorities? Yeah,
we had in the first quarter of the calendar year, we did have a pretty heavy cash burn because we were drilling Victoria, we were drilling Yuquivo. In fact, we had two rigs in Victoria for a period of time. We've paused the drilling in Victoria at the moment while we do this sort of review of mining potential. So our cash burn from Victoria is going to drop right down in this quarter, and really the focus is getting that resource done for Gavalanes at the moment. We are we do believe that the value driver, the big value driver in the company will be the Mexican silver. But we're also looking at various options for how we progress Victoria. Clearly, with those sorts of grades, it has a lot of value to the company, and that's why we've gone to 100% there as well. So
yeah, because are you looking at any other, like, I guess, any corporate actions in terms of you got a lot of assets and, a small market cap? You'd probably be the same market cap just with the Mexican silver assets and discounting the gold assets. Do they sort of get lost in the company a bit when people are valuing you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a consideration. Yeah. We're always looking at those type of options, and we have done some investigations about what are the options. Is there a spin out option, or is there a JV option potential with Victoria or some of our other assets? And that's something we're certainly considering and looking at the moment.
Yeah, as I said to someone yesterday, spin outs are a great idea. You just need a second person to run it. That's the hardest thing. Correct. You can't clone yourself. Right, mate, that's found that very interesting, mate. Especially when silver, who would have thought silver would be classed as a bit hated at the moment at $70-odd an ounce? That's the funniest thing about silver and gold. Gold's at the same price it was in January before it went stupid. But anyway, we'll see. It could be friggin' 3,500 tomorrow. Who knows? But mate, thanks so much for coming on LEVRD, and that was a good yarn. I've learned a lot about Mexican silver. I knew nothing about it till I talked to you.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
Good on you. Cheers, mate.